lost position.
True.
It can happen.
True. I agree. And Pragg, this would be such a confidence booster for Pragg if he manages to convert this position. But okay, we are still far away. It's not like a huge advantage. It's a small one, but it's significant.
Yeah. Let's go back to our full screen of the players if we can have that scene up, because it's a massive moment for Magnus Carlsen. As Sagar, you mentioned, a point of no return in this one. As we bring up the players on the screen, we could see it on Magnus's face. Let's remind everyone the big threat right now by Pragg is knight takes pawn.
Yes.
He keeps burning the clock. He's not being able to find a response.
You know, I'm actually looking at the engine right now, and the move that it suggests is to play your queen to a3 to trade queens. Oh, he played it. He played
Wow.
the same move. It's like damage control mode, maybe the best move in this not so great position.
And now he has to go with the. Maybe this game is headed towards the end game, but there is that b3 pawn that is hanging still.
Yes.
So I feel being a pawn down in the end game is still he still has to defend quite a bit in this position.
He is the best player in the world best player in the world full stop, but also especially when it comes to endgame. But the point you made, Magnus finding the best move in a difficult position, Pragg immediately responds with a trade. Sagar, you're reacting?
I am amazed at how Pragg actually took the queen, then took first the king side pawn, because now he will take maybe the b3 pawn, so that the move order was really precise.
And he's calculated his way through. He goes into an endgame with an extra pawn. Magnus Carlsen with the white pieces is on the defense.
Absolutely. I think now Pragg is a clean pawn up. Magnus has to be careful. Great winning chances for Pragg.
Absolutely right. It's definitely a clean pawn up for sure, Sagar. You're 100% right about that. But somehow I feel that knight on b3 is just hanging there, protecting the d4 pawn. Because the moment it moves, the d4 pawn is gone. And a move like c5, you can play c5 to protect the d4 pawn. But then I have a question: where is that b3 knight going to go?
Yes,
It doesn't have any more squares.
that b3 knight is someone who's also very well placed, but maybe could also be misplaced, as you very correctly pointed out. So Magnus still, you can see him there looking at other games, but I think he still has hope here.
It's not the position he was dreaming for in the starting round of this tournament for sure. He's looking up at the other boards right now. He's almost got a little bit of a smile on his face, no? It's definitely got nothing to do with the position on the board.
Maybe he saw someone else's position and he's kind of smiling. I think one of the players who is very good friends with Magnus here is Dubov. And they generally have a very good time with each other. So I think Magnus would be quite interested in seeing his game perhaps.
Well, Daniel Dubov was part of the World Championship preparation team for Magnus. I think it was against his match against Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Yep.
So these two definitely know each other really well. They're close friends, and Magnus seems to be enjoying a position that's not his own for sure. Pragg has done a big chunk of the work, but it's far from over yet, because he has to show exceptional technique to win this one.
And when you face Magnus,
Exactly.
you have to win several times in a game. You have to win in the opening, then in the middle game, then in the end game. So maybe Pragg has done 2/3 of the work, but still a major 1/3 work is still left.
Not only you have to win in the three phases, you have to win on every move. You give Magnus one chance to make a comeback and all your advantage disappears and everything's gone. Pragg makes I think, probably the most natural looking move in the position. He brings his king to the center of the board. That's traditional chess advice. King is a piece in an endgame.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about this really, it seems a bit crazy if it doesn't work. What if I bring my king from f2 to c2 just to kick that knight away? So
Not from d2.
Not from d2, just d1, c2.
Well, Tata Steel Chess India is known for illegal moves, and I'm actually waiting for one in this tournament.
Okay, let's make predictions. Every year, so let's just give some context here.
Yeah.
I think almost every edition of Tata Steel, we've had an illegal move being played on the board. Last time it was with it giving a check with his king, the king versus king position that we had. I think it was against Hikaru.
Yeah.
That's what comes to my mind. Who do you think will make the illegal move in this year's edition?
Even Pragg has done it. He
Yes.
had once moved his king and castled. So there are many different kinds of illegal moves that have happened here. I hope Magnus doesn't do it. If Magnus does it, that would be epic. Okay, h4, he's pushed his pawn on the king side. Both sides are actually just making those little moves, trying to buy time, because as Sahaj pointed out, the knight is very precariously positioned on d3.
You can't come back to safety because the d pawn will fall.
Another really nice idea of h4 I like is that, Pragg played king f6 to play king f5 because Pragg probably anticipated this e1, d1, c2 idea from Magnus, and if he does that, then black can play king f5 and capture that pawn on f4. So he plays h4 to have this bishop h3 check in case black plays king f5.
Very nice.
So, but f4 will be hanging. So first you'll have to
Like
king g3 and then you push it back.
Then you give a check
Let's just show everyone that yes, for example, if black was to put the king here, attacking the pawn, white simply comes up with the king, defends that pawn, and then can push that black king back. One thing's clear, that Magnus is playing for the draw right now.
Yeah.
I don't see winning chances, although that the moment I say that, the rook just dashes all the way up the board.
Also, the thing is, when Magnus is playing just for like a draw, Pragg is trying to play for the win. And when someone is trying to play for the win, then chances can come up for Magnus as well.
For sure. If he overpresses,
Yes.
then Magnus can definitely, if Magnus is able to win the d4 pawn, I'm going to pick white here.
Yeah.
Because for sure that's that because you have central pawns are more valuable than outside pawns. So I would say it's just one mistake away.
Right, and Magnus says no trade of rooks, keeps his rook active there in black's camp. Pragg's pawn is hanging, Tanya.
It's a threat on the board, and once again the knight cannot retreat to defend that pawn. That motif keeps appearing on the board, so Pragg has to make a defensive move right now to defend that pawn which has just been threatened by the white rook.
So also, Tanya, I feel this is maybe a polite draw offer, because if Pragg plays rook to b6, is he going to go back rook a8?
It doesn't matter because Pragg is not playing for any repetition.
But what's happening here? What if you take the pawn? What is his idea?
He's going for counterplay. Sagar, it's all about getting your own pieces into the game, but now I'm thinking, how does that work? Because let's take a look. Rook takes pawn. My first feeling was knight jumps to c1. I'm hitting the e2 pawn, I'm hitting the d3 pawn, because notice how the rook is pinning that defensive pawn.
Tanya, great point, but there is knight c5. I believe knight c5
Ooh,
is
even better.
That attacks the rook and the pawn on d3, and he wins pawn back with interest. And
then f4 also is attacked, and oh my god, so this is actually a great idea, and you can see Magnus realizes that Pragg is not going to submit to his threats. He's going to counterattack every single time.
Offense is the best defense. I love the fact that you pointed out this move which comes in with an attack on the rook, because now white doesn't have the time to capture that center pawn as well. An incredible resourceful play by Pragg, right? How many of us getting the opportunity to repeat against Magnus would just immediately take it?
I would take it in a minute, in a second.
That's why we are here and they're there.
Good point.
3 minutes 30 seconds for Magnus, 4 minutes 10 seconds for Pragg. Time is also going to play a crucial role now.
Also, there's only a 10-second increment, so you are 100% right. It's going to play a very, very crucial role. Rook to a2. Knight c5 is actually happening anyways now, Tanya.
Yeah.
I love this move. I mean, Pragg, his rook from this square in 2 moves has landed really into Magnus's camp, putting this pressure on e2 pawn. He's in big trouble. And the eval bar doesn't give a massive advantage, but from a player perspective, a practical perspective, you're sweating right now.
Yeah, and also the thing is that Magnus doesn't know what to do, right? Like, does he take the pawn on b7? Does he move his king away somewhere? But where to move? I mean, it's so tough right now to be in Magnus's shoes. What did he do? Oh, he blundered over.
Great call, Sagar. He did move the king away, by the way, but it gets awarded a question mark.
Big mistake. Look at the bar just going down.
The bar reacted, Sagar reacted. Can Pragg react correctly with the best move on the board, which is to get the king further into the action?
Oh, this is now what Sahaj actually mentioned, that the king can come up, but white king had to be there to protect the pawn.
Exactly.
Now he came back, so you come and attack.
So that's the mistake.
No, not easy though for Pragg.
What if it's easy for anyone? It's Pragg. The point is, right, Sagar, he made the move king to f6. And Sahaj, you mentioned it then that he wants to get in with the king. It's at the back of his mind already. If Oh my god.
I think he will play it, because I think any other move, if he goes knight c5 for example, there is no d3 pawn attacked anymore, because it's not pinned anymore. The e2 pawn is not pinned anymore. So I think king f5 is definitely possible, and it's definitely in the back of his mind.
Big moment.
But is it actually winning? Is the position winning after this? After king f5?
I'm actually not even sure what's going on, because we could analyze that king f5 move, then there is rook takes pawn.
Let's do it quickly,
attacking the
Sagar.
knight.
Let's bring up the analysis board. If we can have the analysis board along with the players on the screen and the line that you're pointing out.
So I was saying, yeah, king f5, rook takes pawn. Now the knight is hanging, so I don't know what to do here, because you can't take, you go back, but then knight takes pawn check, and then king takes pawn, and now the king is coming into e3, and the knight is attacking the rook.
Oh.
It's very complicated.
And you have to calculate all of that.
Yes.
He's down to less than 2.5 minutes on the clock. It is an increment of 10 seconds with every move that you make, but Pragg can feel it, but he has to calculate, not only calculate, he has to evaluate the line at the end.
And he has to sense it, that this is the moment. You know, it's not easy to sense it. Here the bar dropped, but Pragg didn't see any bar dropping. Yeah, it's just still the continuation of the same game.
You know, it's also a very hard move to play king f5, because right now he has an extra pawn, but in that last position, the pawns were equal.
You know, Magnus reacts. Did you see that? Immediately after the rook went back, I think Magnus saw king to f5. He just came back on his chair, had a head shake and made his move. Magnus saw that line.
But you know what? Pragg can now go back to a2 because Magnus went back with his king. But I don't think Magnus will repeat.
Magnus will not
Yeah,
repeat.
Magnus
He will not.
I will be surprised if Pragg repeats, unless he's seen king to f5 this time. I think Pragg is ambitious here.
But his confidence might be dropping a bit, Tanya Sahel, because look at the time on the clock. 1 minute 45 seconds.
Maybe he plays
What a
rook
miss.
a2 just
Okay,
to
it's
gain
rook
time.
a2. Guys, he's repeated. Magnus will not go because he has seen this line. You know what? I'm not going to bet my house on this.
Do it.
Wonderful house.
Not betting that, but Sagar, the thing is, we saw the reaction Magnus had when Pragg went back rook a7. He knows that after king e1, but he does it.
He played it, Tanya.
Oh, he
Oh,
played
no, he-
Bishop f1. Okay,
Bishop f1.
My house is safe and I was just happy with that
You were
right now.
absolutely right about this. Is he going to go back rook a7 now? Isn't that a threefold
Oh,
repetition?
wait, what happened? Nothing.
But do you think he would do that?
But his pawn on b7 is attacked.
Is there any other move here apart from that repetition? Because I think Magnus could be happy with a draw here.
Of course, I mean, he's down a pawn right now. There's pressure on him. But rook takes pawn, you always have this idea, right, of coming back with the knight. As long as the king is on this square, the e pawn is pinned and the d3 pawn is vulnerable. But what a miss by Praggnanandhaa, that opportunity that he had, Sagar.
Right, but right now he can still continue with knight c1 as the engine points out. I'm not so sure if Pragg will be brave enough to do that. This is a big moment. Will Pragg continue or go back rook a7 and take it?
Oh,
He
he's
goes
gone.
back.
a7.
Wait, is bishop g2? If Magnus was to play bishop g2, is that a
It's
3-4?
a draw. I think it's a draw.
No, it's not a draw because rook a2 will be 3 times.
Okay.
The rook came from a6 in
But
that
Pragg
position.
will do
Yeah,
rook
you're
a2.
right.
Pragg is, I get this sense that Pragg is okay with the draw. You see Magnus has played his bishop, asked this important question to Pragg, draw. Just not asked
Yeah.
it. It's a
It's on the
polite
board.
draw.
It's sort of like it's on the board. You know it can be over right here, right now. You just have to make one move, and that's so tempting with 50 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, time is going to play a major role in Pragg's decision there. I think he'll take it. And
What do you think,
Magnus
Sahil?
knows
I think he goes for the draw. I think he goes rook a2.
Take it. Oh my god.
With 40 seconds against
Tanya,
Magnus,
if
I'll
you
take
say
it.
Doesn't take it, then I don't think that's going to happen. No, come on.
Yeah.
You do it? Come on, Tanya.
You know, I want to believe he plays on, but the more he thinks, under 30 seconds. And the point is that now what is the move? You can't move your knight anywhere. King moving forward. Now the difference is white's king comes forward.
You know you have to move your bishop.
19
here.
seconds, he's going for it, Sagar.
going for
He's
it.
going for it. Guys, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't go for it,
It's
he
on the
has-
board.
But he could claim a draw. Now what if Magnus says I don't want to draw and play
Exactly.
something else?
Down a pawn.
Pragg is also wanting to play on. Pragg doesn't want to claim. Otherwise, he would have stopped the clock and called the arbiter.
Because psychologically, right, you're up a pawn. You don't want to be the one who's sort of making a claim for a draw. I really want it at this moment.
But no, the time.
Oh, he does it.
He
He's
does it,
claiming.
he does it, he claims it.
Magnus is
Pragg
claiming.
is claiming. Sorry, Magnus is claiming. Okay. Pragg will be like, okay, Magnus, let's agree. You know, why are you calling the arbiter?
And Magnus is definitely the one. Both of them are claiming. He said, come quickly.
I will accept.
We've got another round to play. A 3-fold repetition as the arbiter comes to confirm that.
I think the arbiter.
And it is a 3-fold. We have a repetition here.
Ask the opponent whether you agree. And I think no, he did not. Okay, he just went. Pragg knows that it's a draw, but perhaps just.
So Sagar, in this situation, like, does Pragg have to agree, or if he just agrees, do they have to still check, or do they just?
No. If he agrees, it's a draw because the player has claimed for a draw. The only reason why the arbiter is checking because the opponent hasn't agreed.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay, and really quickly, I think this one will end because we do have a confirmation that it is a 3-fold draw. And there we have the handshakes. Magnus Carlsen, Praggnanandhaa ends in a draw, and I think he's just pointing that line.